Hello everybody, welcome back to my tutorial 101 series for VisualNeo for Windows. I've had 4 or 5 people actually request that I touch on databases. And I actually did have planned an entire series devoted entirely to working with databases. But I'll just touch on this real quick then in this 101 series. And it's just going to be very, very simple. Um, so you have two options in VisualNeo for Windows to work with databases. One is a free plugin um, that you get from VisualNeo, and I mean it for free. These guys have the best plugins for free. It really truly is amazing. But they also have one called DB Pro. Now, DB Pro is sky's the limit. If you need to work with databases in any way, shape, or form, this thing is going to do it. It's by far the best, and I've used plenty to try and build graphical user interfaces to manipulate and work with and display data from databases, and nothing comes close to touching this. So if you need to work with databases, I don't care what what the circumstances are that you need, this will do it. But so I'm going to split this up into two videos. The first one, I'm going to work with the free plugin. And then I had one user in specific ask about connecting to remote databases. And in order to do that, you need DB Pro. So my second video, I'm going to touch on that a little bit. But most everything you see here is gonna transfer right into DB Pro anyways. So there, I'll just probably touch on kind of connectivity, connection strings, how to use that kind of stuff. So let's get going. Okay, in this application, I'm actually going to, instead of having buttons all over the place, I'm going to use a menu. You can press F6, but here I'm just going to go to this through the menu itself. I want to attach a menu. And here I'm going to make a menu item called File. You put the and File makes the F the active Alt key shortcut. Under that, I'm going to do, how about create new? And I'll do new database. And then I'll throw in another one here, make it a divider. Oh, I didn't need to do that. There we go. And we'll throw in another one, and we'll do open database. Oh boy. I'm sorry, guys. I have a new laptop, and the keyboard is just ever so slightly different than what I'm used to. So I'm hitting lots of wrong keys. Here we'll do close database, and we'll put in another one, but this time I want to make it a divider. And then we'll throw in one more, and we'll just throw in something to exit the application. Okay. And one more menu item, and I'll call this table. We'll throw a submenu item in there, and we'll just say show table. So there's a few things I want to show you. So we'll start with file, create new database. Under the actions tab, I'm gonna get way more into this, guys, in that series that covers databases. I'm spending hours and hours every day kind of plotting that series out, so it should be great. But this is the free version. This is the paid version. And the free version, I mean, you can see there's just so many options here. But for now, we're just going to create a database. And I want to say quickly that it says here if the file name with the same name already exists, it'll just be opened instead. I have in the past found that if I rely on that, when they go to create it and it already exists and they open it, I have had some sort of artifact uh, actions take place, something I really wasn't suspecting would happen. I had some data loss. Now, I can't say for sure that this is why that happened, but I would just look at this as create only. Don't rely on this to open databases. So, okay, so for this one, let's create a database. In my tutorial files is fine. And you can name it anything. We'll say tutorial, and you can give it any extension you want. It really doesn't matter. We'll just MDBF for my database file. Okay, so that's going to create it. Another thing to consider is if you're used to working with like SQL and you have an understanding of what databases are, most of the time databases can contain, I don't know, I think they're unlimited tables. There might be a limit, I'm not sure, but literally you can hundreds of thousands of tables. This is, think of it this way, this is a database with one table and one table only. So here we're going to create the fields in that table. And we want to gather the first name of the person, and that'll be a string. 35 is fine for length. We also are going to want the last name of the person. String 35 is fine. Let's get an email address. String, they can be longer, so we'll go 55. Why don't we get a phone number? Let's get a phone number from the person. And we keep that string. Phone numbers aren't very long. What are they? 3, 6, 10 plus dashes and brackets. Well, we'll give them 18. We'll just allocate 18 space. And what else can we need? You know what we'll do? I want to know if the user is active or not. So we'll put in a Boolean just to give you some different stuff here. And we'll give them a profile picture. And we'll make that a picture. Okay, and then anytime anything is changed, you can run a subroutine, which is a ton of great purposes. I'll get into that in my other series. So this is asking me, this is really great, actually. When you do this, when you're finished with that command, it asks you if you want to get the text entry fields for that table in your clipboard. If I say yes, my clipboard now contains all the stuff I need to manipulate, navigate, and manipulate the data in that table. So if I click OK, I'm going to hit Control V to paste. And here you can see it put in fields for everything. First name, last name, email, phone number, whether they're active or not, and their profile picture. Okay, at this point, however, we've created it, but we haven't opened it. So let's go back into main menu. And when they create one, I think it's pretty safe to say that after they've created it, why don't we go ahead and open it? And that put the path right in there for us. There we go. When they create new, it'll open. Now, to keep things really simple, obviously open database is we want to, create a file input or if we go to messages interaction, you can have a file open box where they can choose the file and open it. And why don't we go ahead and do that real quick? So open database, and the mask is, what did we make it? My database file, MDBF. And just the database files. And the initial directory, we can leave that blank for the moment. And we'll do open DB file as the variable for the path to the file to go into. And I do like to do, I just like to, it just makes me feel safe if I make sure they didn't cancel out or something. So if open DB file is not empty, then we'll go ahead and open the database file. Then we go back down here, open. And in here, this is an absolute path. We don't want that. We want the open DB file variable, which has the path they chose. And we're not going to worry about the subroutine right now. So if it's not blank, if they didn't mess something up, or if my program didn't mess something up and it is indeed not blank, it'll attempt to open it. And then under close database, obviously, You can, like what you can do is when you open or create new, you can have this disabled because you can't close the database that's not open. And if there is one open, you can programmatically enable this so that they can close it. But we'll get more into that, and we'll just throw in here a simple close. Yep, that's the one we want to close in that case. And then under the exit, we'll just simply insert under, I think it's under control, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's under messages interaction. Exit. That's just going to exit the program. You can have a window pop up saying, are you sure you want to exit? But if you don't want that, you can just leave all this blank, which I will, and it'll just exit the program. So let's give this a try as is. If I run this, okay, so we'll go file and we'll create the new database. Yeah, I know it doesn't really look like anything happened, but it did. You can see here we're navigating through the database. Okay, so let's go last, delete that one. Yeah, we want to delete that record. Let's delete that record too. Okay, we're starting from fresh here. Let's put in my name. Oh, good grief. I think I might get my old keyboard back just for these videos. Nope, no, we didn't. We separated it like that, didn't we? My email address. You guys better not send me spam. I'm serious. 555-5858. Sure. Whether we're active or not, we're just going to leave that blank for the moment because that's a boolean, and I'm going to show you a trick for that. Picture. Let's throw a picture in here. Images. How about? Sure, that's me. Okay, let's add another entry. So here we go. Let's do Sarah Gunther and put in an email address for her, a phone number, 5656, and a picture for her. Sure. Okay, so now if we go to the previous, there's me, there's her. You can see how that's working. And now you'll see I didn't put anything in here. And they're both set to false. Because it's a boolean or true or false, I'm just going to show you one real quick trick here. I'm going to take a look at the variable that we're working with, and it is tutorial.active. That's the variable for this property of the field, or this field of the entry, I should say. I'm trying to use the proper terminology. So that's either true or false. Whenever we load a record, that is going to be either true or false. So I just copied that, and I'm going to use a radio group here. And I'm going to have one be true, and the variable I want to be the field variable. And I'll make another one that says false. And also put that variable in there. That's yeah, and you do have to make sure it says true or false. If you try to say yes or no, if you put yes or no in here, it's not going to work. It has to be true or false. And instead of having this text entry here, I'll put true here, and I'll put false here, just to give you an idea of how this is going to work. So now when I run it, I've already created it, right? So I don't want to go new. I could, and it'll just open it. But let's test out the open database. If I click that, it's going to give me this tutorial. There it is right there. Tutorial MDBF we made. Open it, And there we go. Next, previous, it's all there. Now you'll notice they're set to false. I'm going to set Sarah to true. So if I go to previous to me, I'm not an active user, and Sarah is. So when your database is already made and it's open, you have different ways of looking at the database. Of course, this is like a card type layout where you see, the details of each particular entry one at a time. You can also have like a traditional grid layout, like a Excel sheet or that kind of thing. So to do that, you're going to need a rectangle object. Oftentimes, I think I've mentioned this before, but oftentimes plugins utilize rectangle objects. So we created in the menus a table, show table. Now this is already assuming that the table is open. If it's not open, this isn't going to work. So the table has to already be open. We'll go down here to the free plugin, and if you scroll down a ways, tables, you can show the table. We want the one that was opened, and we want to show it in the rectangle object. And so let me just show you. You can show a navigation bar or not, and you can make it read only, which is handy. Let's do this. So now when we run the program, if I open that database file that we already created, I'll go to File, Open, and there it is, tutorial. There's me. There's Sarah. Great. I want to see it down here, so I hit Table, Show Table, and it's that easy. There it is in grid format. So those are some of the things you can use on a local database. I'm going to do a part 2 to this video, and I'm going to be using NeoDB Pro, which, by the way, guys, you can download that and use it as a trial. I'm not sure about the limitations. I think what happens is it doesn't let you export the exe, or maybe it gives you a pop-up every time you load your exe. But anyways, you guys want to pay for it anyway, because it's just so worth it. It's an amazing plugin. I use it constantly. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. And like always, have fun programming.